We've had the LEFEET P1 for a full year, testing it against other underwater scooters. We've run speed tests, battery tests, and durability tests, both in pool and in open water. And after a year of heavy use, how does this one stack up? Does it still work? Hey, it's Torben from DIVEIN, where we bring you the best reviews and tips to gear for your underwater adventures. Today, we're taking a deeper look at the P1. In this review, we'll go through how this one works, what are you getting in the package when you're buying it. We'll go to our test results where we tested this one side by side against the other underwater scooters on the market. We'll go through the battery range test where we put this one into a tub and ran it full speed so you get a sense of how good are the batteries really. Then I'll talk about what I like and most importantly, what I don't like or what I think could be better about this underwater scooter. Last but not least, I'll tell you whether or not I think this is an underwater scooter that you should buy. Now, let's dive in. As you know, here at DIVEIN, we test a lot of gear. So before we dive deep into the review, I just want to tell you about a giveaway that we're doing here in the video, because we can't use all of the gear we have here. So at some point in this video, I'll tell you how you can get your hands on some of the gear we've been testing, whether it be the underwater scooters or something else that you can use underwater while diving or snorkeling. So make sure you watch the whole video. Now let's get into the review. First, I want to tell you about the scooter, how it works, how it's set up, and everything you need to know about the underwater scooter. So let's take a look at that. The LEFEET P1 really stands out because of its modularity and how well it packs down, and of course the speed, but we'll get to that in a bit. So it's not just one size fits all. So you can see here, it's actually a range of different combinations. So this is the main unit. This is what I would talk to as the LEFEET P1. And then we got the extended battery. I have two of them right here, extended battery. As you can see, it's higher. You can also see the battery size over here. So this is the extended battery. It has longer runtime and a more powerful setting. We'll get to more of that. And then you can see the configuration of a double handle. So this is two scooters. They can be both as a single or as a double. So that's really up to you. That's the configurations of battery. And then you can see here, as we've done here, where we actually have the scooter unit, the engine unit with the screen and everything. And then we have the battery. And down here as well, we have the handles. And then there's the rail right here. So what you can see is really that you can take this one completely apart. You can assemble it as you want. You can configure it as you want, and that's a really big plus. So once you've assembled it, you can travel with it. You can bring it on a plane. Just make sure you bring it on the carry-on portion of it. So you bring it in the plane, take it out and show the batteries. Make sure you've sealed the battery either with a charging cap or something else. And then you can bring it on the plane. And then the unit itself, it works by a rail here. Before we get into that, there's also a bunch of other combinations that I didn't bring here. You can attach it as a sub-paddle engine. You can attach it as a one-hand rail. You can attach it as a tank strap or leg straps as well. I preferred hands in, but I'll come into what I don't like about attaching it to the tank at the end of the video. All right, so once you've put it all together, or when you're putting it all together, this is the buildup of it. So you attach the engine and you put the battery on. That's basically just a screw on. You screw that on, it's quite easy. Then you attach the rail here to the front, and then you attach the handles to it. And that's basically it. Now you're good to go. There's a big on and off screw here at the top. You turn that one to turn it on. Then you can see on the screen here, you can see the battery, how much battery in, and you can see the speed setting it is. The main unit has 4 speed settings, 1 to 4. Really is simple to understand. 1 is of course the lowest, 4 is the highest. When you're going into the extended battery, you get an S, so a super speed, and that's really fast. We'll come into how fast in the test results. The handle down here has a trigger here. You hold that one down to turn it on. It will start lighting green down here. It's also that handle that you switch the speed settings in. So flipping this one down, one go, like this, will change the speed settings from 1 to 4. One more will go down to 1, and then you can continue. And then you have the index finger here that will trigger the unit, and it will start running. Then we can talk about build quality. Again, I've had this one for a year. We've tested it 1 year ago, and we've been kept on using it. I brought it to countless pool trainings when we're testing diving. Kids and adults have been using this one. I've been using it on trips, dive trips, so it's really held up quite well. As you can see, we have a few. They have marks on it, they have scratches, they have been roughly handles, but they work. They really, really work, and they keep working. They can still be screwed in. It's a nice big you know, you feel that it's quality, it's metal, and it's not just a piece of plastic toy. With the price of this, you wouldn't expect that. The build quality really stands up. I think for the use that we've been putting this one through, it's really holding up well. Now I think it's about time that we start looking into the testing results. We've been testing the LEFEET P1 in a 25-meter pool, running at multiple laps to get accurate results. We've tested this, both me, quite large person, and we tested it with my son. He's 10 years old. He was doing laps as well, and then I did the full laps in scuba gear, and we did this multiple times to get the full speed. Now, quick note here, when we're running it from a stop until we hit the edge. So this speed that we're going to say is slower than what the manufacturer is, and that's because it takes some time getting up in speed and it takes some time like actually stopping and then putting your hand on it. But what you can compare here is the speed, and then you can go and find our full review of underwater scooters where you can actually compare all the videos. I'll link that one in the description. You can find it here actually. So you can see the other scooters and compare that. I'll also bring in some comparisons later in the video when I'm going through the test results. But know that it's lower than what the manufacturer is saying, but do keep in mind that the speeds we're getting out of these are quite fine. Now let's dive into the tests. So single battery, that's the one I have right here, setting that one up, 25-meter laps. I did the whole thing in 23.7 seconds. That's reaching a speed of 3.8 kilometers an hour. Carl, on 10 years old, he was blazing through, did it in 19.7 seconds to 25 meters, reaching speeds of 4.6 kilometers an hour. And me in full scuba gear, I managed to do that in just under 40 seconds. That's 2.3 kilometers an hour. With the extended battery, that's this one, so single unit extended battery, with the 5th gear on that one, I did the time in 17.4 seconds. That's about 5.2 kilometers an hour. Carl, he was so fast, doing it in 15.3 seconds. That's almost 6 kilometers an hour. And then full scuba gear, I did it in 26.9 seconds, so that's 3.3 kilometers an hour. Double scooter setup, one battery. That's where things get really fun as well, because double scooters you can use for multiple things. But I did the lap in 17.9 seconds, reaching a speed of 5 kilometers an hour. And Carl, he was really fast again, 15.7 seconds, hitting speeds of 5.7 kilometers an hour. And in full scuba gear, I did it in 25.8 seconds, so 3.5 kilometers an hour. And now the really exciting one, double scooter, double extended battery. This is where we get a crazy speed. I did the lap in just under 14 seconds, reaching a speed of 6.4 kilometers an hour. Carl, he did it in 12 seconds, reaching speeds of more than 7.5 kilometers an hour. We didn't do the extended battery in full scuba gear because we didn't have it at the time we were doing side-by-side tests in the pool. But what I can say is I've used this one in full scuba gear with a buddy as well, where we were dragging each other, or I was dragging him back, and it was really fast. So it could still drag through full divers with proper speed so we could actually get back on time. So this one is really powerful. Later in the video, I'll talk about what we like and what we don't like, because importantly, what we don't like as much is kind of also why you're here. You can always read the good parts everywhere, but we've found a few things that we don't like as much. Now some key takeaways here and comparing that to some of the other tests. Again, I recommend if you are looking to an underwater scooter, check out the video in the description, the full video where we're comparing them side by side. This is more for an in-depth look of the LEFEET P1. The speed of the single unit, it's not the fastest as we've tested out in terms of the double units, but what it's bringing in is of course the modularity, the customizable. You can have the extended battery, you can have a single battery, and it is really fast still. Even though these kilometers sounds quite low, keep in mind that this is in water. There's a lot of drag in the water, and this really feels great. As soon as you try this one out, it's fun, it's fantastic, it's easy to use, you get a good speed. Now, extended battery is really where the fun kicks in, because with that battery, as you might have noticed, it actually almost did faster than 2 standard batteries. So this extra speed setting here is really doing a lot. It's, of course, also with the extended battery, is burning through a lot of battery, but we have that extra battery settings. I'm guessing that's why they did not give this one that same speed setting. And then, of course, super fast, as you can say. Carl did it in less than 12 seconds with this one. Again, from a start to the end in less than 12 seconds. So it's all the way from pulling him up. He's not the biggest guy, but I feel that when I'm doing that in 14 seconds, 25 meters lap, it's almost Olympic swimmer. Even from jumping in, that's the times they're spending, around the times they're spending on doing that 25 meters lap. So this is like the fastest you can move in water, and it feels great. It feels like flying. comparing this, the way to Subnato is a bit better when it's double scooted. Again, there is some inconsistency in our test, so I would say this is a good one, and the way to Subnato is a good alternative to look at. I'll link up the review of that one as well, so take a look at that one. Extended battery, there's nothing beating that. The whole test, the extended battery on the water scooter with P1 is the best we had of this. So this is to put some clarifications of what the speed means and what you're getting from a scooter, because again, it is a lot of money to put out, but I will say the LEFEET P1, we've had it on countless of trips. We've had it, me and my family, on countless of holidays, and we love it. Everyone loves it. We can use it. You can also get a float on it if your kids are using it, so you can attach a float. It's not as good as the old S1 Pro that had the shark float, but the float is nice. It just doesn't look as cool as the shark float. Let's talk about the battery life test. Again, in a minute, I'm going to come to what I like and what I don't like about it, or the pros and cons. But the battery life, I think, is quite important as well. Now, note, in our test, we did it full speed. So we dropped it in a tank and we put it to full speed. The standard battery did just over 24 minutes, and then it still kept running for around 10 minutes afterwards in a lower speed. So once you go down to low speed, it will shut quite far down, so you can still get into land. And that's a really good safety mechanism. That said, the low speed is a bit low. It's not really dragging that much, but at least it's carrying its own weight, so you can still just swim in. The extended battery did 30 minutes at full speed, again, the S speed, and then it still kept going for around, I think, 9 minutes afterwards, so you still have time to in. This is around 50% of what the manufacturers, what LEFEET is claiming that the batteries can do, but keep in mind that they are giving battery times that are on lower speeds, not full speed. Our test is at full speed because that's the data that's not available on the internet. So that's the one we wanted to give you. So now with the speed that we're getting and with the battery time, you can actually calculate how far can you get in and out, so you can get that data, or you can see for yourself, how far will this one take me? How long can I run it when I'm running it in full speed? And I think that's important. Now let's talk about what we like about it. Then I'm going to come to what I don't like that much about it. So what I really like about this one, well, first, as you just heard from me when I'm talking about the speed, is what I like about this one, the speed. I like about this one, the speed. It's really fast. It's fast compared to the size of this one. When you compare that to big DPVs, that's dive propulsion vehicles, the really big one you see some of the technical divers are using. And this one is still packing, compared to the size, a lot of power as well. Then it's travel friendly. You can bring this one, you can bring it on a plane, you can bring it to a warmer destinations easily without, maxing out your weight or your capacity, because you can pack it down and it doesn't weigh that much. The modular design, you can have one or you can have two. If you have two, you can actually do a double speed, or you can have two of them. Just make sure you get enough rails to it. So you can be two people racing, you can be playing around with your family in the pool, you can be, you and your buddy diving, you have one each, and then when you want more speed, you put a double on it. Or you can have a single battery that you're using. Sometimes you can have extended battery use when you want to go fast, but of course this weighs a bit more, so that's the con of the large battery. So modularity design is really a nice thing. You can attach it to a sub, so you don't just have an underwater scooter that you use when in water. You can also use it when you're on the water as well. One-handed grips, tank mounts, and so on. There's so many options for it. Battery life is good. It's really good compared to the test that we did. This is by far one of the better ones. Again, watch the full video if you want to see all the other ones, but really doing great compared to all the other ones. So you get a lot of power and a lot of range for that, or a lot of battery, which gives you a lot of range. It's easy to use. My kids are using them 10 and 8, not the youngest one at 3. It's easy to navigate around. It's easy to see. The display shows you the battery, it shows you the speed, so everyone can see it, and you're not like, oh, yeah, I'm out of battery and I didn't notice it. You see it all the time because it's right there in front of you. So big, large screen is another plus. Solid build, I think that's a really cool plus. It really is solid build. You don't feel like it's gonna break. We haven't broken these ones so far. We had one battery that broke, but that's because we dropped it from a really high shelf, or we put it up on a shelf and then it fell down, and that was really far. You're not supposed to drop batteries like that. So it's not really broken. We just don't want to use it because it's a battery. But the units themselves has been handling rough. Some of them actually did take the fall as well, but units were still working. We've been traveling with them, diving with them, handling in and out, again, for a whole year of use. You can see scratches, you can see signs of use, but they're still working every time we take them out. All right, now let's talk about the things that we don't like as much. So there's of course always things that we want to find that's less than good. So remote handling or remote connection. That's really cool. They're easy to connect, but one of the things is this one needs charging. So there's charging pad down here. It takes a separate cable with 2 plugs in it, and it works quite well. The problem is if you forget that cable, you're not gonna go if this one runs out. The other problem by remote handling is that if you forget to charge this one, often this one will do multiple runs, which is really nice. You don't really need to think about it. That's the problem again. Sometimes you'll actually experience that you've charged this one multiple times and then all of a sudden this one is lighting red and you don't know actually how much. So it has a green indicator that it has power, and then it has a red one, it's low power. And I don't like going out with a handle that has low power because I don't know when it will run out. So that's the issue with it. If you don't remember to charge this one, you're not going to be going out. Then we have one other slight issue. When attached to the tank, the wireless connection didn't reach. It did reach, but it had some leaps out. So I was diving with it attached on tanks. That works really well, except for the connection would run out sometimes when I had the handle all the way up here where I usually have my hands. So that worked, but it didn't really work that well. That's the only 2 things I've actually come up with. Well, of course, the price is, but the price is what the price is. And when you're getting quality materials, price is going to be high. So who should buy the LEFEET? Who's the LEFEET P1? Well, it's for divers who want to use it as an underwater scooter. Again, it's not a dive propulsion vehicle. That's important to keep in mind. That's the big ones that will run for hours and hours. And that's the ones you use for underwater expeditions. This is for recreational dive use. You can do a full dive on one tank as long as you're not running at full speed. So you can use it if you have issues swimming or you just want something fun. You can bring it as a toy for diving, or you can bring it actually as an aid for swimming if you have issues following your dive group because of injuries or operations you've had. I see it as a really good travel companion. When I'm going on family holidays, we bring this one because the kids love it. I love it. It's a fun thing to have for snorkeling, for swimming in the ocean, for playing around in the pool. It really is a fun toy. So anyone snorkeling can bring it, and it will give you possibilities of reaching depths that you probably couldn't do, or that you going places, exploring things that you might not have done before. And I really recommend this as a product. I think it's a product that you should buy. I really like it. And I don't see any issues with it that would ever contradict that. So there's slight issues with it, but I really see that as small compared to what you're getting and the quality of the product. And now for the giveaway. So here's the chance for you to win some of the things that we've been testing here, not necessarily the LEFEET underwater scooters. It can be a dive knife, it can be a mask, it can be fins, it can be a regulator, it can be anything we've been testing here at DIVEIN. We'll pick it randomly. And what we'll pick it on is these 3 criteria. So what I would like you to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel. Second up, in the link below, there is a link to our newsletter. Please subscribe to that one. And that's also where we will announce the winners. So make sure you read the emails that's coming out because that's where we're announcing the winners. Last but not least, I'd like you to leave a comment telling me what is your favorite thing about the LEFEET P1, or other things that you would like if it's done. So what are you seeing as a con for it, or what do you like the most? That's the 3 things. Once you've done that, we'll pick a random person in between comments, subscriptions and likes, and hopefully it's you. Now, I hope you enjoyed this review. I at least enjoyed actually telling you about this underwater scooter that I really like a lot. So as always, happy diving.